Hello, Bante.
Hello to
Can you
you,
hear
Bante.
me?
Hello,
Yeah.
Bante. Good evening, Bante. Good evening to you. It's nice to see you, Bante. Lots of metta to you from all of us at Mahabodhi Society, Bangalore. Hope you are doing well, Bante.
Yeah, very fine.
Bante. So as today I was not here, Bante, I was away from some work.
Yes. Yeah, but the other one did well. He did the hosting well.
Yeah. Did you do well, Bante?
Yeah.
Did well. Oh, sadhu, Bante. Sadhu. Today is your perhaps the last talk, Bante.
Yeah.
Once you're ready, let me know, Bante.
Yeah, okay. You can start.
We can
Ready.
start.
I'm ready. Yeah,
okay.
I'm ready. You can start. You do an introduction or anything?
I will just welcome Bante. That's
okay,
very
right.
short one, very short one.
Okay, right.
Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo buddhaya. Homage to the Blessed One, to the Perfect One, the Supreme Enlightened One. Homage at the holy feet of our teacher, the founder president of Mahabodhi Society, Bangalore, and most venerable maggavihari Thero Bante, the vice president of IIT Sri Lanka, and dear venerable monks and the friends in the Dhamma who are watching this live session. Today is our fourth talk in this series on VESAKHA Purnima. This talk have been organized with the kind permissions and with compassionate permission from Bante Maggavihari from Sri Lanka. And we are offering these talks as Dhammadana and offering this as the Patipatti Puja to the Buddha on this auspicious occasion of Vesak. Today we have Bante here with us, and as usual, all the talks which Bante have offered so far, it is so inspiring, and the audience and the Dhamma listeners are enjoying these talks in India. So we are very grateful to IIT for coming into collaboration with Mahabodhi Bangalore to make this possible, to make this talk available to our audience. So Bante, I give this platform to you now. Please give your Dhamma sermons, Bante.
Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Good evening, everyone. So today is our last talk, my last talk, I would say, for this VESAKHA Purnima, the Dhammadesana series held by the Mahabodhi Society, Bangalore. Today's topic, I would like to give attention or shed light upon charity or giving, means dana, offering. Most of the Buddhists do this as a practice, and sometimes it's sort of a ritual or a norm, like offering what you have to others. Whenever we give, we may select different people. Sometimes we offer to the Sangha, offer to virtuous people, whoever figures. Sometimes the Buddha who has already passed away, and also to the ones who are in need, the needy ones. When we look into this theory, like look into the act of dana, of act of giving, offering, in the ultimate sense, It signifies the volition or the intention that causes or that makes the act of giving. Giving means discarding or offering or giving up something from your ownership on behalf of someone else. It means you are discarding your ownership. It doesn't mean that you're just throwing something away. Discarding your ownership for someone else, for the sake of someone else. It means offering something of yours to someone else. So in order to give a dana, the basic level, we should possess it. We should have its ownership. Whenever someone is giving a dana, others can participate in the act and also contribute to this act. But the main dana, kusala, is done by the owner. When we give something or offer something to someone, we discard something, that is the ownership, the consideration of something as mine. It's sort of a mental connection with the thing that is being offered. Prior to the offering, for example, if I think about this pen, if I consider this as mine, for instance, imagine. So I have considered it as mine, and even while I'm doing something else, the ultimate sense, as I have not given up the my expectation to have this, to possess this, to own this, this thing is considered as mine. We don't need to always consider, like, it's not necessary that all the time the thoughts may occur that it is mine and mine. It's mine and continuously. So once we know, we consider it as something that belongs to me, from that time onwards, till it is being discarded, or if I just give up the expectation, till that it belongs to me. It's sort of a somewhat a mysterious connection, I would say. It's difficult to point out what is the connection between the thing and myself. It's just a mental consideration, but it's an ultimate consideration. Therefore, we normally have it within us, the considering something as ours, but when we give it, offer it, that expectation is being cut off. That's how we normally explain this. Then when we analyze much deeper, even though because according to the explanations given in the Parachika Pali regarding stealing, if someone has discarded its ownership, if someone has considered I'm not expecting it anymore, I don't need it anymore, even someone takes it, it's not considered as stealing. Why is that? The expectation is no more. Spotlight එක වෙනස් වුණා. Expectation is no more. So when we offer something to someone, in order to do that act of charity, the thing should belong to me, belong to the person. Then it is considered as a full-fledged dana or charity. Regarding the ownership, I would also like to shed light upon another fact. Think like, now if something is offered to me, without my intent, like without me being conscious, if someone has offered it to me and offered to me, like give up the ownership on behalf of me, in the ultimate sense, it still belongs to me, because in that sense, the intention of the giver what matters. So as long as I don't abandon it, it still belongs to me. In that sense, I do not need to have a thought of owning it. That's why in the Theravada context, if you offer something to a stupa or a pagoda, it belongs to the pagoda, though the Buddha or the representative of that pagoda is not alive. Same thing, something you offer to the Bodhi tree. So we are not supposed to take it back. We normally resemble the Buddha with the dhatus, pagoda. And when we offer it, it belongs to the cheti. Though there is no such a intentional consideration about it, because it's an inanimate thing. So in that sense, the ownership is given by the intention of the donor. If you collect something from the ground, the ownership is gained by your own intention. So, but in both the cases, it's not necessary that any of that such thoughts has to prevail in order something to be considered as mine. Now, after I collected something or after someone has offered me something, from there onwards, as long as I don't abandon it, or after as long till my death, it still belongs to me. So when we give something, we have to have such a possession. That's the number one. Then we offer it to someone. Offering means I give up my intentions of owning it and dedicate it to someone. Dedicate it to someone, dedicating maybe to a poor person or someone who is in need, or someone to a virtuous person, whoever it is, whoever the receiver is, we are dedicating. With that dedication, the ownership is given up. Ownership is given up. So what is this act? How do we look into this act? I'm trying to give a very quite deep philosophical insights about this. One thing is, charity or giving dana has been praised by the wise, according to the Buddha's opinion. There are opinions of some that considering that the dana, it doesn't make any sense, and some says that charity is not something that should be venerated, or that should be considered as a high act. There are opinions on that. According to Buddha, it is something that is being considered or praised by the wise. So how do we understand this? I'll just give you a simile. Think about someone lending you money when you are in need. Lending money means when you lend money to someone, you have the expectations to get it back, maybe with a loan, maybe with an interest, maybe with an interest. So there's always expectation to get it back. But think, someone lends you money in a difficult situation. How do we look into this act? It surely deserves praise, because even though he has the expectation to gain it back, offering or giving someone in need is something very helpful to the receiver. So we normally praise such act, though still the intentions of gaining back is still there. Now think about offering. When you offer something to someone, you don't have any intentions of gaining back that thing or any mundane stuff. You may have the intentions of giving a good vipaka as a result, because you cannot avoid it. So that is not something you are gaining from that person. It is something you are wishing as a result of your act. That's a different thing. So when you give something to someone, offer something to someone, you have no intentions of any interest. So if lending of money or lending something while we are in need deserves praise, nothing to say about the act of offering something without any intentions of getting an interest or getting it back. It's fully praiseworthy, entirely praiseworthy. There's no doubt in it. Therefore, it's something that has been highly esteemed by the nobles. Then we think about what happens while we give dana, while we give charity. We give up the expectations for that. Now, what is an expectation? Expectation means you own something. In sense of owning something, you are considering it as mine. It's the nature of the putujanas, I would say, and also the lower nobles. It's attachment towards anything that we possess. The reason is we have the idea of I. Even the higher nobles have the lower nobles, other than the arahants, except the arahants, consider something called I, not in the sense of a wrong view, but in the sense of asmimana. Therefore, the I figure, the factor, I factor is there. As long as I factor is there, always possession is there. If I'm there, things belongs to me. My idea of mine is there, or mine, sorry. The idea of mine is there. This is a very good food for craving, attachment. And there's a very natural tendency within us to like, to possess, to cling towards upon the things that we possess. We admire it. Maybe people are not, some are not that much attached to the things, but still the tendency was there. It could have come up anytime. So while we are giving, we are working against this natural force, natural tendency to gain something. That's why it's a part of our practice. When you give something, you're working against the natural tendency to possess things. It's sort of a spiritual act. That's why this dana has been categorized in the first place of our paramita, the perfections. That's the first quality of bodhisattva. Anyone willing to attain the nirvana should practice. Though it's not maybe advanced as sila, or not difficult to be practiced as sila, and still it's a very, very fundamental quality, because you are working against the potencies to own something. And the next point is, with the dana, we abandon, we go against the attachment to the thing, and also the idea of mine. Especially, it is also against the idea of wrong view of self-view, sakkaya ditthi. Sakkaya ditthi is about considering that there's a self, and it's the related defilement to sakkaya ditthi is to possess things as mine. Therefore, it's also against sakkaya ditthi, especially when a bodhisattva is practicing giving his bodily limbs to others, like flesh, blood, eyes. In such occasions, he's fully going against the idea of self-view, because self-view is believing there is I, and in most of the cases, it's attached with the craving. Why do we possess? Why do we consider something as mine or I? It's basically because it's attractive. We know we are not going to consider something as mine which is not attractive, or which is something ugly or unpleasant. That's why Buddha mentioned tanha pacca upadana. Craving gives rise to clinging, not only to the clinging of lobha, but also to wrong views. Therefore, when you are giving charity, when you are giving dana, you work against the sakkaya ditthi as well, in addition to working against lobha. The next thing is, when you are giving or offering something to someone, you also develop the quality of giving up, letting go. Is also a very important basic quality or fundamental requirement in your entire practice. The ability to give up. The ability to give up. I'm not talking about giving up the objects while they come into your mind. Some teachers talk about giving up the objects in meditation. I'm not talking about in that. I'm not talking in that sense. Think about all the other practices. Now I'll focus on the perfections, paramita. So there are 10 according to the Theravada tradition: dana, charity, sila, virtue; nekkhamma, renunciation; panya, wisdom; kanti, patience; satcha, truthfulness; dana, sila, nekkhamma, panya, virya, effort; kanti, patience; satcha, truthfulness; metta, loving kindness; aditthana, determination; metta, loving kindness; upekka, equanimity. These are the 10 qualities. In order to develop all these 10, a fundamental requirement is the ability to give up. Now think about sila. Now think about 3 people who are observing sila, and in order to protect the sila, you have to make some sacrifice. You have to give up certain things. Or maybe you have to sacrifice the gains that you may get. Now think 3 of them abstains from killing, have observed the virtue of not to kill. Now there comes 3 options, or he was given the opportunity, offers, that you may get this much of amount if you kill this animal. If you kill it, or you may lose this much of amount if you kill this animal. Now both the scenarios. It's really easy to understand losing something, because gaining, okay, maybe we will be able to reject it because it's something that we are going to getting it additionally. But think that if you don't kill this animal, you're going to lose this much of money. Now 3 people have observed, and 3 of them has different capacities of giving up. Just mere giving up is not dana. That's we have to keep in mind. It's a quality that you develop through dana. Giving up means now you can just throw something that you don't like. It's not the dana as long as it is not dedicated to someone. Just throwing something to the forest is not a dana. Now, if you think that while you're throwing your food, if you think may this be dedicated to the food in the soil, yes, that's a dana. But just mere giving up is not dana. But why with dana, with each and every offering, you develop this quality of giving up, the ability to give up the stuff that you have. Now think about the scenario: 3 people observing the precept of restraining from killing, and 3 of them has 3 different capacities. One could give up 100 but not 200. The other could give up 500 rupees but not 1000. The other one could give up 1000, and maybe he could give up 1000. Now in the first scenario, in the first case, all of them, 3 of them, are going to lose 50 rupees if he doesn't kill the animal. As the 3 of them has the capacity to endure or give up 100 rupees or endure the loss of 100 rupees, it means in the other sense, you are able to give up, you are able to endure it. So all of them would not kill. Instead, they will protect their sila. But if the loss is 200, there's a very high possibility that the first one, unable to endure that loss, would kill the animal and save the money. Because his capacity of giving up, it has exceeded his capacity of giving up. So the second and the third people may still protect because it's within the range of their giving up. It's below their threshold. But if the loss is 700 rupees, even the second person may break his sila. Now, if it is more than 1,000, even the third person may break up his sila. Now think, by giving up, you are developing a certain capacity of giving up. We may not be able to possess that capacity all the time. Not all the people are having that capacity all the time, but always there is a threshold. Even while we are very, very happy, or we have a lot of faith, that threshold may increase. But in some occasions, even a person who is able to give up 1,000 maybe he's not willing to give 1 rupee at some time. So it goes up and down, but there's a limit always. We know that there are limitations, that this much of loss we are never going to accept. Now, the thing is, even while we are observing the sila, even though we don't face such encounters, occasions that we instead whether to decide whether our wealth or the sila, even though we don't encounter that, but still, based on our giving up, our sila has already been, the level of our sila is already determined. Because the threshold of giving up is there. The sila may not exceed it. We are not going to protect the sila beyond that. We are not ready to give up. That's a hard truth. So the level of sila is determined by the level of giving up. And that giving up is developed by the act of charity. That is why dana was explained in the beginning of the practice. It's very essential. It's not something casual. It's not something that we do as a ritual. It's a very high quality act. That is the fundamental basis for each and every quality that develop throughout our practice. Now think about a very great person, like someone who is willing to be a Pacceka Buddha. He's ready to give up his limbs in order to attain that. He has to do that. So therefore, he may even protect his sila at the loss of his limbs. It will be difficult for him. I'm not saying cannot. It will be mostly difficult for him to endure the loss of his life, or to become a slave and still protect the sila. Mahabodhisattva is able to do that because he even sacrifices his entire life as in charity. There are 2 ways you can sacrifice your life. It means you completely dedicate your entire life, so you may die in the sacrifice. Otherwise, in the next way is that you become a slave of another. Slave means you give up your entire ownership, your entire life to someone, and you start to work under him and work for him, and you don't have the freedom. You just dedicate or completely sacrifice your freedom, or offer your freedom to someone, which is not appreciated these days, because slavery is banned or is abolished in the entire world. In the ancient world, it was very popular in both the Eastern and Western cultures. So becoming a slave of another with his own will as offering your life is also called Jivita Dana. So the Bodhisattva, a Mahabodhisattva who is practicing in such level, is capable of giving up his entire life for dana. So as a result, in order to protect his sila, he is ready to give up his life. Therefore, the limitations of your sila is mainly determined by the limitation of your giving up, levels of your giving up, and that level is increased or developed, enhanced by the act of charity. Think about renunciation. When we renounce our sensual pleasures to practice Dhamma. Sometimes we renounce the household life to become monks or nuns. This is called renunciation. There are many ways the renunciation can be explained. more your giving up ability is higher, more that you are giving up, more that you will be able to renounce. Therefore, even the renunciation, the level of renunciation. Now, a person, now think about someone, think about a monk, for example. Monk gives up his lay life and ordains. Think about a person who has an ordinary life status and he gives up an ordains. But think the same person, if he was born into the family of a prince, of a king, would he be able to give up that? So in order to give up such a luxury, he should have much strength. So therefore, the level of giving up determines the level of your renunciation as well. Now think about developing your wisdom. In order to develop wisdom, we have to sacrifice certain sensual pleasures. We just cannot just be enjoying everything, and then the wisdom will not come up. So in order to gain wisdom, you have to listen to Dhamma, you have to listen to good lectures of the wise people, you have to read books, you have to meditate. So that's how the wisdom is elevated, developed. But in order to do that, we should be able to give up our desires to a sense of wisdom. So much you give up, much you will be able to develop wisdom. So therefore, all the other qualities are based on the act of giving up. The entire practice is sort of a giving up. And that is developed mainly by dana. Therefore, it is, I would say, a fundamental pillar upon which the entire practice is based upon. Then I'll go into the karmic aspect of dana. Now, till now we discussed what is dana. Dana is the act of giving up something for the sake of someone else. And the ownership is determined either by the person considering it as mine, or if we are unconscious, or we are not conscious about the giving, the moment someone offers us, then it becomes ours. So giving up, while we give up of us, we abandon this ownership and dedicated it to someone else. And this act is highly praised by the wise. And I give the reason. Even lending money can be praised. Nothing to say about giving up something without any expectations. So when we give up, we are going against the potencies within ourselves to own something, the attachment, and also it's against the self-view of I and mine. And this dana is the basis for all the spiritual qualities that we are supposed to develop in order to attain the liberation. Then we move on to another aspect, the karmic aspect of dana. Karma means when you do a certain good or bad deed, a certain force remains within your mind stream, and that is able to give you a result in future. It's various ways the result can be given by arousing vipaka chitta cetasikas, kamaja rupas, and also bringing fortune, misfortune, sometimes the death, sickness, and so forth. There are many ways the karma. It's a very complicated and a detailed topic. But how the level of now giving is a wholesome deed, but not all givings are wholesome. If you are giving someone poison to suicide, it's not a wholesome act. Your intention is to kill someone. You are giving something very poisonous or harmful thing to someone in order to fight and so forth, like distributing weapons and so forth. These are not considered as wholesome givings. No, so therefore, just mere act of giving something is not a dana. It has to be something less harmful. It doesn't mean now, for then the question becomes, what about the beverages or the today's drinks and so forth that are very considered as unhealthy? In that sense, everything can have a certain effect. Here we are talking about something which directly harms your life. or something which is which makes you intoxicate, or maybe causes his death. Then someone can argue whether how about the slowly death, but just because of having such a beverage, you are not going to die instantly and so forth. So these are not, now if someone offers something like for example instant noodles or some kind of a very famous drink in the world, then people may argue that you are giving something unhealthy. Yeah, in the long term, if you are wise enough or think deeply, you may abstain from offering something and offer the healthy stuff, but it doesn't cause you any akusala. That's also we have to keep in mind. The akusala stuff is for poison, alcohol, the weapons, and so forth. On the other hand, all offering food, shelter, and all these are considered as dana, a wholesome deed, because you're supporting this person. You're supporting his life. Whether that person consumes it or not, it is a different case, because the dana is completed by giving. So before we go into that, we should know what are the factors that complete the act of charity. First factor is it has to be something that belongs to you. That's the number one. And you have to dedicate it to someone, giving up your ownership. So these are the two factors. With these two factors, according to the Theravada tradition, dana is completed, whether the person knows it or not, whether he uses it or not, even the person is alive or not. That's why we still offer things to the Buddha who has already passed away. The act is completed. It's a different case. People may argue what is more beneficial in case of offering this to someone who is in need, or offering to the Buddha who has already passed away. In terms of the consequences in the present level, yeah, offering to Buddha would not quench the hunger of anyone. In the end, the food may be wasted or may be given to an animal. In that case, someone may quench the hunger. But in terms of what you accumulate, the karma is different. Offering Buddha is higher than offering someone else. Reason is the energy of karma, the level of karma is determined with various reasons, due to various reasons. It's not only how effective it is. Now I'll come into that point. What are the reasons that makes the act of giving higher or lower? First, keep in mind, whatever act of giving is praiseworthy, whether you are giving to an animal or a human or a very trifle thing, doesn't matter. Act of giving is always praiseworthy, has been highly esteemed and encouraged by the Buddha. But how to determine the strength of this act? Based upon few reasons. Now, the intention is the number one. Because of intention, it becomes dana, and it's a wholesome thing because you're supporting someone. So this, we have to exclude the offering of some dangerous stuff that we have already discussed. Then, the foremost is the amount you offer. The amount, how much? In the comparison, if you're offering 10 rupees or 20 rupees, always offering 20 rupees is higher in the level of what you are offering. But when the final outcome comes, it is a different story, because it depends on various, there are various conditions, the variables, there are few variables. So in terms of comparing a dana, in terms of how much you give, it also matters. Offering 1,000 is higher than offering 100. Because the intention, because mind is connected with this act of what you are giving. Therefore, while we offer 1,000, we are always making a bigger sacrifice than offering 100. Something needs to be added. Now, someone has only 10,000 rupees and someone has 1 lakh. Out of them, both of them offer 1,000 each. The sacrifice of the first is higher in proportionate to the amount that he possesses. Therefore, that may also increase his quality, but it has to be compared from how much you are offering, how much. What is the proportion? Then if you're comparing the amount you're offering, always offering 1,000 is higher than 100. Then also we have to consider about how much you have during this offering. That is number one, like the amount that you give, what you are giving. Now think about food, very rich food or precious food, whatever. Then there is another two elements that I would like to add. Giving sweet, like I would say, very pleasant things. Manapadai. Sorry, panitadai. Panita means giving something which is very tasty, rich, very attractive, like giving valuable things. Panitadai. Venerable Upasaka Mahanama was foremost in this. Then Manapadai, giving something that you like. Upasaka Ugga was foremost in this. Manapadai labate manapan. The Buddha, there's a teaching of the Buddha. If you give something that you like, you may get it in future lives. What you like, you may get what you like. Manapadai labate manapan. So these are also something that we should consider. This is also always regarding the thing that you offer. Then the giver's mind, state of his mind, how much he's enjoying the charity, how much faith he has upon his act, how much understanding he has, whether the mind is in an energetic level or it's lethargic, it depends on the moment. So these are the qualities. If you are giving it with very high pleasantness, happiness, with a lot of deep understanding about your act and the karma vipaka, a lot of faith, and with full energy, without hesitation, this would increase your dana. The level of the dana is higher than in other conditions. So in the opposite case, if you have the opposite factors, it becomes lower. So this is another contributor to the level of dana. And also something that how much hardship you are encountering. It was similar to what I discussed, like what you are giving, how much you have, what amount you are giving from how much you have. Now, for example, when you are in a hardship, difficult situation, in a famine, you are offering something because even you don't have anything to give. It's a very highly high side of sort of practice. And also how you earn this thing. If you gain it with a lot of sacrifice, if you gain it with a lot of hardship, offering such a thing is because how much sweat that you have or how much effort is behind what you're offering. It's another factor. So all this increases your dana if they are higher. Then the third factor, which determines the level of your karma, is a receiver, the qualities of the receiver, attributes of the receiver. He's a great person, a powerful person in terms of qualities, the act of dana would increase. If he's a lower person in terms of the good qualities, dana would reduce. But it doesn't mean that we should not give up the people who have less virtue. This is determining how the strength of the dana, how kusala. I'll give you a small simile on this. Now think about the reactions that we get to certain actions. It's just a simile. Now, there are people in the world, society, very powerful ones, very weak ones who doesn't have much money and so on. If you insult a poor man or a beggar or hit him, maybe he'll curse you, he'll shout at you and just go away. But think if you are hitting a son of a minister, powerful minister, what would be the result? In most of the cases, the return would not be very pleasant. Maybe his guards would come and break your arms or burn your house, or even you may lose your life. Possibility is there. Why was that? The strength of the person, the strength of the receiver. In the first place, the first case, he was a weak person, so he couldn't, the reaction was not that much powerful. But in the second phase, as he had the power, has the power, the reaction is enormous. In the same way, if you offer someone to a beggar or a poor person, he may just praise you or the worship, pay respect to you, and yeah, such a thing would happen. But if you help someone, a powerful guy, for example, a king or a prince, maybe they will offer you offer you in return a village, in those days, an occupation, a post in the government, a good school to your child. These are the outcomes. Why was that? He was capable of giving a bigger reward. A similar sort of phenomenon is happening in the realm of karma. A similar phenomenon. Just take it as a phenomenon. It's not an encouragement. It's not something to be followed. The simile is just a simile. A similar incident, a phenomenon is happening in the realm of dana or realm of karma. The receiver, the powerful receiver and the weak receiver. If you're supporting a weak receiver, you are gaining a weak karma. If you're supporting a following receiver, you're getting a strong karma. In the same way, if you're offending or destroying or disturbing or hurting a weak person, you may accumulate a weaker akusala karma, while we offer support disturbs or hit or destroys a stronger person, you may get a stronger akusala karma. So how to determine the strength of the receiver? It's not because of wealth, it's not because of the status, it's not because of the clan, not because of the bodily figure, the attractiveness, it's because of spiritual qualities. A person with higher virtue is a greater person. A person with a higher loving kindness, higher generosity, higher samadhi, panya is considered as great in the realm of karma, not his money or anything else. A person with lower virtue, lower qualities are considered as weaker. So when you offer something to a greater person with higher spiritual qualities, you may accumulate a strong kusala karma. The same way, even a small harm to such a person would generate a very strong negative energy. That's why just hurting the leg of the Buddha, shedding the blood of the Buddha, caused Devadatta to end up in the Avicii. If the same act was done to another person, the consequences are not that strong. The reason was the greatness of the Buddha, the greatness possessed by the Buddha. And also, if the person is weaker, a harm and also the support that we give may generate a lesser energy. This is not to discourage supporting weaker or unvirtuous people, but that's the phenomenon. That's the phenomenon. That's why I said even offering, because it is not necessary that the receiver has to be alive in order for the dana to be accomplished. That is a fundamental of the tradition, because dana has been defined as giving up something that you possess. And that these are the definitions. We are talking in definitions. As Socrates said, our talks are based on definitions. So within the tradition, Buddhist tradition, dana is completed by giving up something that you possess. Whether the person is alive, whether the person has receives it, knows it, or uses it, these are out of the question. So if you are dedicating something to the Buddha, who had a very strong, powerful spiritual qualities, who truly existed, if that person was a mere concept who didn't exist, then it would not generate any karma. As Buddha existed for sure, your offering causes huge merit. So that's how. Now, 3 factors: the qualities of the stuff you offer, and how it is being gained, what are the efforts behind this, how valuable it is, how favorable it is, and then your state of your mind and the qualities of the receiver. All these contribute to dana, and in the end, we may decide which dana is powerful or not. It's not my job, and I'm not that capable of saying it. It may differ in different occasions based on the occasion. Yeah, see, this is the how the karma of dana has to be explained. Yeah, and then finally, just to finally encourage something, there are two ways that we can give dana. That is by giving to ones who are very virtuous, selecting them, that would generate a very high quality of karma, and just giving dana to anyone who is, regardless of the person's status or virtue, to any receiver. This is, that was a selected, the first one was a selected dana, the second one is unselected, like it's just randomly giving whoever wants it. Both these qualities, if you are giving in such a manner, they have two different effects upon you. In terms of karma, the greatness of the karma, there's no doubt offering someone with higher virtue, according to the Theravada teachings, is much greater than offering someone who is in, even though he's really in need. If that person has lower virtuous qualities, offering someone with higher qualities is a stronger merit. But if you are offering just for the sake of the help, to help someone, just giving up things to anyone who wants it, in that sense, you are developing a very good quality than the first incident. Because in the first occasion, there's always a personal interest behind your offering. Because you are expecting, why do we choose someone who is virtuous while there are people who are in need? Because we want to accumulate a stronger karma. The person is not at fault for doing that, it's his right. But there's a personal interest behind it. But in the second case, when you're giving, just giving for someone, it's the selflessness is there. You're just thinking about the compassion, having compassion to support that person. Now think about a very famous monk. For example, think about, I'm not a famous monk, I would think about offering me a robe because I have enough robes for myself. So just offering me a robe would not, knowing that I have robes, still they would offer us me robes. So that is because thinking that I have a higher virtue as a monk. So I'm not in need of a robe at the moment. But if my virtue is higher than someone else, so offering me would accumulate a higher merit. But why a person, instead of offering someone who is really in need, offers me a robe, that is not very necessary, because he wants to get a higher merit. The self-interest is there. But in the second case, it's a selfless act. Therefore, in terms of quality, in terms of the quality that you develop, just giving dana without any selection is considered as higher. Because it's a very, in the qualitative level, the quality that you develop, the giving up, you're giving up is much greater in that sense. Bodhisattvas do practice both the ways. In some occasions, he selects and gives to the virtuous ones. In some occasions, he just opens his houses and said, anyone who wants, please take it away. Especially when he's offering his limbs, in most of the cases, I don't think a virtuous person would have any use from his limbs. In most of the cases, he's offering to demons or mostly, and also animals who are in need of hunger, or the ones who are eating human flesh. We call them cannibals, right? So therefore, a bodhisattva has to practice both types of dhanas, because if you select the virtuous one and offer, you are getting a higher merit, which is very useful in your samsaric lives. At the same time, he should be able to completely give the things to others without any self-expectations of a higher merit, in order to develop this quality of giving up. So this is another point that we have to keep in mind. We encourage both types of giving, and they have two different effects. Yeah, I think the time is up. So We discussed few points. I'll just sum up. What is charity? What is dana? Giving up something that belongs to you for others, giving up or offering, dedicating it to someone. The person who is receiving is not necessarily to be alive or to know it or to use it. Just by giving up for sake of someone, the act of charity, act of dana is completed, and it's a volition that arises in your mind. The word dana may be used to the thing. Sometimes it is used to refer to the act. Act of means chetana, dana chetana, the volition of giving up. While we give up, we abandon our ownership, and when we abandon our ownership, we are going against the attachment or clinging, a natural tendency to cling upon something, and we are opposing craving and also self-view, consideration as something as mine, related to the idea of I. Then dana is when you give dana, we develop the capacity of giving up, which is the basis of all the other spiritual qualities. And then in terms of the karmic aspect, dana, the level of the karma of dana is determined by the thing that you offer, the status of your mind, and the qualities of the receiver. Giving to the people who are virtuous and selecting the virtuous ones and just giving without any regard, they have two different types of effects, and both are highly recommended. So that would be my lecture. So I wish you all that we'll be able to practice this dana as a spiritual quality that is required to be developed in order to reach the higher stages of your practice, and which was being developed by the bodhisattvas for eons in order to attain even the Buddhahood. So there's nothing to say about arahantship or pacceka Buddhahood. One needs to practice dana. So I wish you all the best in this act, and may you be able to give up and offer things as much as possible according to your level, according to desire, and gain higher spiritual qualities, and one day be able to attain the spiritual bliss of nirvana. Sadhu, sadhu.
Let's just give our heartiest anumodana to Bhante by saying 3 times sadhu. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Dear most venerable Bhante, we are indeed very blessed to listen these precious and very enlightening teachings over the last 4 talks. And as this VESAKHA time, we are observing this week-long celebration. This is the highest form of dana which you have given to all of us, and we are no words to say thank you. It is indeed the highest dana which can enlighten our heart, which can bring wisdom and insight to us and those who are listeners. I know they are developing sadha, as we discussed about sadha, as we discussed how we can inherit the Buddha's legacy in our life, and also about different aspects of Abhidhamma points and the suttas and the dana. For example, today, I don't think we will get this kind of teachings in pristine pure form from anywhere. And coming from Sri Lanka, this Dhamma is flowing from the land of Dhamma, and again coming to India. And Bhante, your contribution will play an important role for reviving the Dhamma here. I'm sure if that flash of insight which arose in people's mind, they will definitely grow further in Sila and Samadhi and Panya. They will realize the Dhamma and the test is freedom. So on behalf of Bhante Mahabodhi Society, I personally and the Sangha members, on behalf of all the Sangha, we would like to express our deepest gratitude and thankfulness, as Buddha says, Tatannita Katavedita Sapurishasa Lakhana. So, being the follower of the Supreme Buddha, we are on a big boat and we are going all to Nibbana. And I hope so, by fulfilling our perfection, we will one day reach to the other shore very soon. And so also so many followers are behind us. So out of compassion and metta for them, you have been teaching us that they unconditionally. And it is unbelievable that how Dhamma is working. I hope now soon these teachings be a condition for revival of Buddhism in land of its origin, as even all the great sages and saints and the bodhisattvas, they have fulfilled their paramis. They have worked on this great land. All the enlightened Savaka Buddhas, Pacheka Buddhas are born in India. So we just imagine all those days in Buddha's time. But now I feel that with your teachings, Bhante, and with the blessings of the Triple Zen, may those era come again in India, and may all beings also they share these merits and they may be well and happy, and may the people of India get this Dhamma gift, and they ultimately may they able to realize the noble truth in their life and be liberated from all sufferings. So I give my sadhuvat to Bhante for your teachings.
Sadhu, sadhu.
Most Venerable Kassapa Mahathera, the President of Mahabodhi Society, Bangalore, and Most Venerable Ananda Bhante, the General Secretary of Mahabodhi Society. And from all the branches, we have 7 in India and some of associates in Europe and the US. So from everywhere, from the Mahabodhi family, Bhante, we are so fortunate to listen your talks. And it's been a wonderful times together we spent in VESAKHA. Also, we cultivate a lot of merits. We'd like to sell all those merits to our Bhante and to our teachers, to our parents, to our friend Dhamma friends and Kalyanamitras. May we all able to work on the path of Dhamma and ultimately realize the noble truth in the Gautam Buddha Sasana.
I also want to say I was really happy to share my knowledge and to work with you all. And thank you for this opportunity to allowing me to give my Dhammadana, and all respects to Bhante, Bada Bhante, who started this wonderful institution, and also to Kassapa Bhante and Ananda Bhante, and also Bhante Buddhadatta, who did a very good job in moderating. And also special thanks to Mr. Suminda Suminda Siripal Kota, I think. I forgot his surname. Yeah, he did all the collaborations and all. Thank you for him also. And may this merit be Dhammadana, Paramita for all of you.
And also Bhante, the Tharaka, the technical team.
Tharaka technical team and all, Isuru and everyone. And also Bhante Sangaratana, who did a great job here in front of this screen.
And nonetheless, we would invite all of you, including Bhante and all the team of IIT, to visit Mahabodhi, Bangalore in one day. We would like to see you, or in Sri Lanka, Bhante. Please, you must visit Bhante. We will take care of you. We will have more than happy to accommodate and take care of you. Please give us opportunity to serve you and Sangha, Bhante. I wish you a very happy Vesak, Bhante. You will be going to Indonesia for the Vesak Buddha Day. And are you going alone, Bhante, to there?
With Bhante Sangaratana.
So I wish you all the blessings of Vesak.
Okay, sadhu.
We have on 16th Bhante in Bangalore. 16th.
Okay. Successful day. Okay, thank you very much then. Sadhu.
Thank you, Bhante. Sadhu. we end the meeting, Bhante.